Hello and welcome to episode 63 of Prosperity by the Pint. I'm your host, Bryce Carter, certified financial planner and self-proclaimed millennial money expert. This is that podcast where we talk about money, investing, business, and life success while having a cold beer. Cold beer of the week is from Avery Brewing out of Boulder, Colorado. It's the Pacer IPA, 4.5%, which is kind of light for an IPA. Here it is. Cheers. Gosh, I need this beer this week. Let me tell you what. You guys know if you've been listening for a while, I am a father of two. I have a 2.5-year-old and I have a coming up on 3-week-old. And life is chaos. So I'm gonna have this beer for a minute, and I'm gonna tell you a quick story. And I poured a lot of head there, so we're gonna let it settle. So the Sunday. First off, I get the 2.5-year-old down for a nap. Well, I put her down for a nap. It's always a fight. I don't know whether she's going to nap or not, right? And I'm downstairs helping my wife, giving her a little break, trying to with the little one. And she poops 3 times in 30 minutes. She's basically like an upside down mustard bottle. And I'm cleaning that up, and it becomes very clear as I'm looking at the baby monitor that the 2-year-old is not going to take a nap. So I go upstairs to fight with her about that situation. I get up there. She's completely buck naked, jammies and diaper off. She says, "Daddy, there's a poo over there." And I look on the floor. Sure enough, there's a human poo on the floor, and it's smeared everywhere. And I says, "Is there poo on you?" She says, "Yeah, I got the poo on me." So, oh my gosh, now what do, right? So the dog comes upstairs, and I'm trying to clean off my toddler, right? I'm trying to use wipes, trying to clean her up. And the dog comes up, and I'm kicking him away from the poop because clearly he thinks that's a snack. I'm kicking the dog away. The baby is starting to cry downstairs. I can hear her. Sounds like my wife's nursing. And there's poo smeared all over the carpet. And I'm kicking the dog, and I'm trying to clean up a toddler. And finally, I turn away from the dog. I'm cleaning up the toddler, and the dog snags a bite of the poop. And I'm freaking out about that. And finally, I get the poop cleaned up, and there's still smear everywhere, but I get the log cleaned up at least. Toddler's upset because I'm trying to wipe her down. Daddy's freaking out. I'm debating on whether I call my wife upstairs to help me out because she's nursing and clearly the baby needs attention too. But finally, I can't take it anymore. I can't keep the situation under control. So I yell down to my wife. She comes up. Milk is squirting out of her onto her shirt. Shirt's all white, stained with milk. She's freaking out. Now I'm like, okay, I can't even get the poo off the toddler. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take her, give her a bath. She screams like I put her into a boiling hot tub of water. No, it was like moderate, right? It's like I was cooking lobsters. No, I wasn't cooking lobsters. I was just trying to give my toddler a bath. So she's screaming. And the baby starts screaming downstairs. Corey's leaking milk, trying to clean up the carpet. And that has been the most relaxing day this week. So cheers to parenthood and fatherhood. Let's give this Hazy American IPA a try. That's okay. It's it kind of lacks flavor. It's not a very flavorful beer. I don't know what's going on. Brewed with Rocky Mountain water. That must be it. It's just I wouldn't really call it it's kind of like a session IPA. It's a really light IPA. But this week, now that I'm past the family stories, I wanted to talk about the road to retirement, the retirement roadmap specifically. So this is actually a piece that we share with our investment and retirement clients, and we have it on our website. I think it's under Insights. It's called the Retirement Roadmap. And that is basically for the 5 years leading up to retirement, what you should be doing and when you should be doing it. I'd like to make a longer retirement roadmap for people saying starting at age 25 or 30 and different milestones you should hit then leading up to the 5-year. And maybe I'll make a podcast episode about that later on. But I thought it'd be good to talk about specifically all the different check boxes you need to check in the 5 years leading up to retirement. So hypothetically, starting 5 years from retirement, what I'd like you to have is, and this isn't going to get into the monetary specifics, that is really tough to get into on a broad level, right? I can get into that individually with you as a person, but I can't get into that specifically on, however many hundreds of people might listen to this episode, right? So the first thing is, by 5 years away from retirement, you should have very clearly established goals of what you want to be doing in retirement, where you want to retire at, and when specifically you want to retire, right? The 5 year mark. So if you don't have the goals established, you can't build the plan, right? So if I want to retire in Florida, my situation might look different than a small cabin up north, right? So you have to get those very specific goals and objectives done, okay? So once you have your goals and objectives, you need to work on probably hiring an advisor. If you want to do it yourself, good luck. but probably look at hiring an advisor and say, this is what I want to do. Okay. This is my retirement dream. I want to live in Florida. I want to stay wherever I live right now. I want to live in Michigan, and I want to golf 7 days a week. And I don't want to be taking care of the lawn, so I'd like to move to a condo. Okay, that's fine. Take that information to the advisor with your financial information, and it's time to come up with an assessment of your current resources and what you'll need to provide that retirement, right? So we start doing a balance sheet. Okay, here's what I have in my 401k. Here's what I have in my IRAs. Here's what I have in my retirement accounts. Here's what my Social Security is projected to be. Here's what those things could be in 5 years based on what I'm currently saving and currently spending. And what are my costs to do that retirement goal, that retirement objective, okay? So now we have what we want to do, and we have the list of assets to determine whether we can make this our want to do, or our current assets to accomplish what we want to do, right? So that's that simple, right? We have the goals and objectives. We need to find out whether our asset pool and our income is going to be able to fulfill those goals and objectives, right? So once we know that, we can develop a plan to either ensure that if there's a gap, or if we don't have enough assets to fulfill our goals and objectives, what is the plan? Do I need to save more? Do I need to invest more aggressively? Do I need to spend less? What is it that I need to do? Or maybe there is sufficient assets and we need to go into a risk off mode, right? I have enough to do what I want to do, okay? And I plan on doing it in 5 years. It's worth more to me. Maybe this is you. Maybe you have enough saved to say, okay, I can do what I want to do. Let's shift from trying to grow my money to protecting what I have and keeping up with inflation. That's development of the plan. What do I need to do now? Do I have enough? If I don't, how do I get enough? If I do, should I just focus on protecting what I do have? So once you get to that point, you start to, and this is all 5 years prior, right? Then we get to the 2 to 5 years. So years, 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4 away from retirement, what you should be looking at. Now, if you have gotten close to having the amount that you need and the resources are going to meet the objectives, now is really time when you're 2 years out, 3 years out, to start looking at reducing risk, right? It's unnecessary to have an exorbitant amount of risk. You still need some investment risk. And I'm going to spend a specific episode, actually probably next episode, talking specifically about how much you can spend in retirement based on what you're investing like, okay? In that 2 to 5 year period, you also want to kind of look at finalizing some major purchases, right? If you're going to get a cabin up north, get that done. If you need to do some things around the house, like a new roof, a new water heater, if you're looking at needing a new car that's going to last you the first 10 years of retirement, get that stuff done now. The reason being is once you're in retirement, you're on a fixed income, and it's a lot more impactful to take large withdrawals from your retirement after you're retired than before, right? Because you can replace those assets before. You can go to work and earn more and contribute, right? So finalize major purchases in the 2 to 5 year time frame before retirement. And then we want to start looking at a retirement budget, okay? And trying to live off of that, particularly in the 2 year window, right? So you're going to wanting in the 2 year window to know this is what I'm going to have in retirement, specifically for income, and try to mirror what your retirement lifestyle is going to look like a little bit. And that way we know, you can get closer to solidifying what that's going to look like, right? And then this is what this essentially is a retirement projection, retirement income projection, and trying to match your expenses to that income threshold. And you should be doing this semi-regularly after you've reached the 2 year point. Hey, this is where things are at based on the portfolio and this, that, and the other. And then what you want to be doing right before the 1 to 2 year mark is looking at, do I have enough guaranteed income, right? So Social Security, pensions, income annuities, things like that, are they enough to cover the basic necessities? And if not, do I need to buy some sort of guaranteed income? That's not for everybody. It really is not, but it's something to consider. Everybody should have at least Social Security income coming in. Some people have a pension, and some people should look at an income annuity. It helps to shift some of the risk from your investment portfolio into a guaranteed risk, into a guaranteed income stream. Got to review the insurance needs. Now that you're getting closer to retirement, you're probably not going to need the same insurance coverages, both for life insurance, but you might need to replace that with something like long-term care, and whether that's a concern of yours. Start to consider downsizing. Again, that goes back to the objectives and the goals. Once you're a year in, 1 year, you need to meet with your HR department. You need to understand what your retirement options are. Is there any retirement health care? What's your insurance costs going to look like? Again, with health insurance, that's going to change every year. You need to start looking at of your pension. Have the numbers changed at all? What's your 401k balance at? What's the rollover process for that? Meet with HR about a year away from retirement. That can be sensitive for some people because they may not want to let their employer know that their retirement is impending because for various reasons. Social Security and Medicare and Medicare supplements. Medicare needs to be done about 3 months prior to age 65. So depending on when you're retiring, but 3 months away from age 65 is when you need to apply for Medicare. Social Security, it's good to have your options reviewed by your financial advisor and have a plan for that. But you also likely, depending on your situation, might want to make an appointment at the Social Security office. You can apply for most Social Security online, but they do have some good information there. And so you make it an appointment there, especially if you're a complicated situation. It's not a bad idea. You're going to be looking at turning in your pension paperwork. And then finally, once you do retire, you're going to be looking at considering your rollover options for your 401k, 403b, 457, whatever your retirement plan is, and consolidating some of those investments, right? So if you have IRAs over here, over there, 401ks that from an old employer, consolidate some of that stuff down to more efficiently enact and implement your financial plan. So that's kind of the road to retirement. Those are steps that you need to be taking 5 years or less in to where you can start to say, this is the confidence I have in my plan. And again, the retirement roadmap, it's literally a roadmap with some other tools to it, like a budget and things like that. It's available on our website, fsgmichigan.com. Go to Insight. You should be able to grab that. I've given you almost no taste on this beer. This is, I'm going to call it light and refreshing. Also lacking in flavor. It needs a little more something to it. It just doesn't have a lot, especially for an IPA. Look at me talking IRAs. IPA. It's an IPA. So those are the things you need to be looking at. I mean, it's not overly complicated, the final 5 years, but it is something that you need to be proactive about. And the more proactive you are about it, the more confidence you're going to have in your retirement plan. If you're having trouble finding this retirement roadmap on our website, just send me a message on Facebook and via Prosperity by the Pint, and I'll get one over to you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Prosperity by the Pint, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers. The topics that I discuss in this podcast are meant to be general information and educational only. I'm not giving you specific advice because I don't know you personally. In order to give you specific advice, you should work with an advisor, someone that can learn your specific situation and give you advice that applies to you. If I talk about a specific security, please keep in mind, I'm not recommending that security. And don't forget, investing involves risk. When you invest, there's always the possibility of losing capital, which is why you should consult with a qualified, licensed financial advisor prior to investing.